So today I want to tell a story of a time that I failed once upon an epic failure. And it was not even a private failure, it was actually a public failure. So let us get right into this. Hello family, you are welcome back to another conversation on TY's Thoughts. My name is Oluwatoyin or Oluwafemidara. And like I said, today I want to talk about the concept of failure and share a story of a time that I failed. I've been working on something in recent times, and I think this sort of took me back down memory lane, and I'm just grateful to God that we are never defined by our failures. Thanks be to the mercy and to the faithfulness of God. And I hope that you did not define yourself, or you do not define yourself by your failures, because failing is never the end of the world. I think failing is actually a part of the journey to success. And there are many quotes on failure that help us to put failure in the right perspective. Because I know that many times when people are asked that question, what is your greatest fear? And many people say, oh, the fear of failure. What does that even mean? We will fail. We will fail. We all fail. Some people fail at courses in school. You have to take an extra year or an extra semester. Some people fail at, different things in life. It's all a part of the process to getting better. Some failures, however, can be expensive or can have grave consequences. And once again, it is the mercy of God that is keeping and helping each and every one of us. And over time, I've come to learn that may we not fail, but even when we do, it's easier when we look at it as a learning curve and as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. But let's get right into the story. So a couple of years ago, this was at a time when I felt like I wanted to get into independent documentary filmmaking. So for those that don't know, I work in the media. I'm a content creator. I host shows as well. I host TV programs, and I also make documentary film. My greatest passion, well, would that be accurate? One of my passions, it doesn't have to be my greatest passion, but one of my passions is telling stories, and I do that on a level of telling individual stories. But at the time, I also wanted to get into corporate documentary filmmaking, and that was, working with organizations and helping them to tell their stories. I had a full-time job, and at some point I just felt very, the word is maybe discontent, or I just felt that there was more burning on the inside of me. And so I left my full-time job and decided to face the life of a producer, and of a storyteller fully. Little did I know that maybe I wasn't just yet ready. But hey, once in a while we jump out and we begin to work our dreams. So this was a time where I jumped out. Why am I holding a pen? I'm not sure. Let me drop my pen. A time where I jumped out and decided to, follow my heart and follow my dreams. And a friend of mine I told a couple of my friends, this is what I'm doing. If you ever need someone to work in this capacity, you can call on me. I can help your organization to tell their story. And I really could, but maybe I just wasn't yet ready. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So a friend of mine reached out to me, and she called me and she said her organization at the time, which was like a new firm in the oil and gas space, wanted to do a corporate video for an international thing that they were pitching for. And one of the things they had asked them is to, help them put together a corporate video talking about their company. Could I do it? I said yes. At this time, I was an indie, which is not bad, but I was an indie. I think all I had was a camera. I didn't have light equipment. I didn't have so many things. So obviously I knew that I didn't really have the capacity to do it by myself. But this was actually, if I think back now, the first project of that capacity that I would really undertake. And I didn't realize that I wasn't as ready as I thought I was. So one of the things I did reach out to another friend who also was just starting out on this journey in the industry. He could get a bit more equipment, and he was a videographer. So I'm more of a producer. I work with cinematographers, directors to tell the story. And once in a while as well, I just decide to carry my camera and tell the story myself. But more often than not, especially if I'm working on a corporate job, I wouldn't carry the camera. I get the professionals to carry the cameras. So I reached out to my friend. The budget. So when you are a young, aspiring somebody in any field that you're in, like I said, I would just try to tell the story and then list out the lessons after. But let me go back to what I was saying. The budget in itself, because I was hungry, because I was, looking for a big break in the industry, I also did not charge as I should have. This is not even just for profit, just in order to get the job done. So a lot of factors that I didn't put or think through affected the quality of the job. Anyway, to cut the long story short, it was a very limited budget. I should have been wiser. We got on the day of filming, we got to the organization. This was circa 8-9 years ago, and we started to film. We had camera, we had sound, we didn't have lights. Now, I'm not really sure, I truly am not even sure, thinking about it now, why I did not think about lights at the time. I can't even answer that question. We just felt, did we recce the space? Yes, I think we had done a location recce, if I remember correctly. And the place was very bright. It's a place, white walls, windows. And like I said, because we're working with a shoestring budget, we felt that, okay, with this budget, so that at least somebody can take 10K home, another person can take 10K home, and we still had to rent some equipment as well, we can do without lights. So we got to this place, we started to film, and at some point we needed to record in a director's office, one of the directors of the organization. Like I said, this was not in any way a small organization. And we started to record, and we realized that it was kind of dark. People of God, I'm about to say, who can guess what we did to try to light the place? We used a phone torchlight. I'm not even proud to say it right now. Right. We took out a phone torchlight. We used the phone torchlight to record one of the ogas of this company. God have mercy. That, as if that was not bad enough, by the time we started to film other things was when we actually realized that we really should have rented lights. But like I said, we're working on a shoestring budget. We just made do with what we could make do with. This was 2011 or 2012, or no, I said 9 years ago, 2013-ish, yes, thereabout. It was just, we finished filming. I mean, when we're in that director's office using the camera phone to sort of light, I don't even, I kept thinking, and I've always thought about it afterwards, what the man would have been thinking, like, are these people joking? Like I said, this wasn't a just anyhow organization, and it's not even about it not being a just anyhow organization. We were just highly unprofessional. Anyways, we finished the filming, we went to post-production. It was in post-production we realized how much we actually needed light. Like, the shots were dark, it just wasn't nice and crisp. And forget the fact that this was 9 years ago. Even 9 years ago, filmmaking, in this part of the world had obviously already become something sweet and nice. And we're even trying to position ourselves as professionals for the corporates. Anyways, we ended up doing this job. We submitted the job, and needless to say, the client was not pleased. Like I said, they were bidding for something on an international scale as well. So we had meetings back and forth. I remember one meeting in particular, and I could tell that they were trying to be as respectful as possible. There's a way some people just tell you, you did crap, and you just tell you did crap, but these people were actually very polite. How can we salvage the situation? What do you want to salvage? There's no way to salvage. The only way to salvage is to reshoot. And by that time, what they wanted to do already had a deadline, and I think we're like a day to the deadline. So they even said there was no time for a reshoot, anything. To cut long story short, they couldn't even use the video, and it was highly, highly disgraceful. Highly disgraceful. And I remember going back and thinking to myself, am I really cut out for this? Can I really do this? Do I even know what I'm doing? But let's circle to the lessons, because this is all about the lessons. Like I said, what that did for me at the time was make me go back to the drawing table, and I asked myself where I failed. Lesson number 1, the fact that you can does not mean that you can. I will say that again. The fact that you can, maybe you have the skill, does not mean that you can. Maybe you do not have the capacity. And what do I mean? So maybe, for example, you're a makeup artist, you're a solo makeup artist, you're still working by yourself, and someone says, oh, I'm getting married, come and do makeup for myself and my bridesmaids. Maybe our bridesmaids are like 8. In all truth and honesty, you might not be able to do this by yourself, right? You might need like 4 or 5 people. You might not be able, if you've not gotten to the point where you set up an establishment that already has people to do it, and maybe what you even need to charge in order to get those people, because you might have friends that are makeup artists, you might not be able to work at that capacity. You have the skill to do it by yourself, but you don't have the capacity to do it for 8 or 9 or 10 people at a timeline that is fixed, because people need to maybe get to church by 9 o'clock. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So the fact that I had the skill of production, I had the skill of storytelling, I had the skill to tell the story together, didn't mean that I had the skill in terms of the capacity to have the right crew and the right resources to pull things together, to do things at that level. And a part of me got deceived into thinking skill was capacity. And many times I find that we're like that, you especially when we're young and we have dreams and goals and visions, and you say, yes, I can do this. Yes, you can, but maybe you can't. Maybe you need time to build a team. Maybe you need time to still work with other people that have bigger capacity and can do it on a larger scale. And even if a brief comes to you, are you able to defer to those people and maybe even give them the entire brief, which are things that I've done at different points in time in life after that as well. I'll give them the entire brief and say, you know what, you handle this. I can be a this on your team. So you actually give them the job. It doesn't matter. I think sometimes we think that we are losing opportunities. It's better to lose an opportunity than lose your integrity. Every time that I think about that job, and I think about the people, that were the corporate, the heads of the corporates in that job, people that, were aware of the whole situation, I pray for the mercy of God, legit. And I pray for the mercy of God because, this, even if it's a couple of years later, you know how you leave a bad taste in people's mouths sometimes. You never know who can be in a space working in an organization at any point in time, and they say, oh, we want to do this. And they say, don't do it, oh, that person, we worked with her a while back, she couldn't, she spoiled it. Those things speak. And they speak for years. So the fact that you can does not really mean you can. Let us think about that. Number two lesson is the ability to collaborate right. I know that collaboration is a big thing now, but you also need to collaborate right. And I'm not saying this to say that people that I, worked with at the time were bad. No, but we were all hungry young people, right? So nobody could give the next person the brain to say, this thing that we're going to do like this is not going to work, right? So maybe if one person was more established, then one person could have said, you know what, we need to do this better, we need to do this with this, we need to do this way, let's go and disgrace our destiny, that kind of thing. So it's one thing to collaborate, it's another thing to collaborate right. Number 3 lesson, and I will bring it back to the point of the budgets that I was trying to make, especially when you are a young person looking for opportunity. I know that many times, like I said, because I just wanted the door to be open, anything went. And people would always use this. I can never fault, anyone that is trying to give you a foot in the door. Once they see that you are hungry, they will make you any offer. You are the one that knows the value that you bring to the table, and you must be bold enough to demand that value or let that table shatter. Because when things hit the roof, it's gonna be a case of you do not know what you were doing, You are the one that did not have the skill. You are the one that promised A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and yet you could not deliver. And when you start telling the stories, but no, when we said you should pay 5 million, you said no, you have only 1 million. And because if you accepted the 100,000 naira instead of asking for 1.5 million, then they expected that without 100,000 naira, you could deliver. So you cannot come back and start telling stories that touch the heart and say, oh, it's not. The value that you present is the value that people would use to carry you. And when you are in a state where you are hungry, you are seeking, you are desiring, there is a tendency to reduce our value. And when we reduce our value, we are the ones that are worse off for it. So never let anyone devalue you, and most of all, do not devalue yourself. It does not mean that there are not times you will do things for free or you will do things lesser than the value. The point I'm trying to make is make sure that even if you are receiving an offering that is below the value that you know it should be, make sure that you can still deliver excellence. But if you know that you cannot deliver excellence because, so for example, if you were going to, maybe you're an interior designer and you're going to design a house and you know that the materials to design that house without even your profit, without even anything, is going to cost you 2.5 million. But because you are looking for an opportunity, you cost it at 1 million. You are going to disgrace yourself. Except you know that there is a way that with your 1 million, you are going to do the work excellently. Right? Very, very important, because many times we make the mistakes, and once the mistake is made, nothing can be done about it. Number 4 lesson in the journey, in the process, when we fail, is never judge yourself by your failure. Go back to the drawing board, learn the lessons and move on. I went back to the drawing board. I looked at what happened, and like I said, it was an epic fail. Epic fail. It took a while to get out of it because it really, first things first, there was even the friend that called me in to do it, and even that in itself is a lesson. Many times we want to help each other, we want to pull each other up, we want to open the door for the next person. Even in opening the door for the next person, please be sure that the next person can deliver. In as much as we are trying to help, so that help will not become something else, will not become isolenu, right? So, but that was not the point that I was trying to make. That was a beside the point that I was trying to make. I did not define myself by my failure, though it took a while. I stewed on that thing for a couple of months. Like I said, I wasn't even sure. It made me question everything that I thought I knew, every school that I went to, everything that I had learned, but eventually I recalibrated. In fact, I remember at that time, and I would even use this to talk about how I bounced back. So at that time, this was, 2013-ish, and so a job offer came to do something else that was not at all in any way in the line of media, and I went to apply for that job offer. Because like I said, I was just like, I was done. Maybe I'm not called to do this. I don't know how to do this. When I got to that job offer, it was a room filled with about 12 women. I'll never forget. This was the first time in my life I would enter an interview panel, and it was all women, 12 powerful women. And, I started to speak with them, and they asked what I did. They asked why I wanted to do this job. And I said, well, the opportunity came. Once again, a friend told me about it. I'm working in media. My passion is really media, but I think I want to segue into this sector, and they all listened to me, and they gave me excellent advice. God bless each and every one of those women. God bless them. And they said, you know what? They realized from everything that I was saying that media was really my passion, and that they would advise me to still go back and make media work. That they don't think that if I got the job, they said they believed I could do the job, but they didn't think that if I got the job that I would be focused, because obviously I'm already passionate in this line. About 2 or 3 months later, one of the women that was on that interview panel, working with an international, multinational, global national, if there's nothing like global national, working with a multinational oil firm, called me. See, when we're able to recalibrate right, even in the face of failure, God will bring opportunities back. She called me and she said, oh, my name is this. I met you at one point in time when you came for this job interview. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, oh, I remember you said you do documentary film for organizations. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I work with this company. If I call the company, I said, it's global. It's not Nigerian, it's global. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, we're putting this together. Can you do a documentary for us? This was the next job I would get after that first one. But between that first job that I failed at and this one of the things that I had done was then go and work with other people on other things. So I had then put myself again in that space. After I woke up from my slumber of I can't do this, I said, okay, one of the things you do, immerse yourself properly in this world. In fact, I'd worked with someone at the time, we had worked on a documentary that took us to the 6 geopolitical zones that had gone from Enugu to Abia to Kaduna to this. So I had been saturated at this point in time in film. Besides that, I had made several other connections of friends and people who were doing that. So this time I said yes. I believed that I was ready. I believed that I'd improved my skill. I believed that I had the capacity. And even if then I still couldn't do, it's not like you would do, I still rented lights and camera and all of that. I also had bigger networks that we could now collaborate on a higher level. I said yes, I got the job. To cut the long story short, I did that documentary for that organization for 3 years straight. After the first year, they called me back the second year, they called me back the third year. God redeemed it. Failure is never the end of the world. Failure is a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone to teach lessons, to let us know that maybe you're not ready, to let us know that maybe you need to learn something else in this area, to let us know that you still need to sharpen your skills, to let us know that you need bigger networks, to let us know that, you know what, you need 1 more year. You need to immerse yourself more. You need to still volunteer. You need to go back to school. You need to study that subject again. Failure is never the end of the world. Failure is what it is. Lessons on the journey of success. Today, I have worked with all sorts of organizations, home and abroad, to the glory of God. I will tell another story of even how this has panned out, even in 2022. That's video for another day. But I just want to encourage someone watching this, that an epic fail, an epic public fail is not the end of the world. May God help all of us to not have public fails, to not have even public fails on certain levels. But even if and when we do, there is a way out, there is a way back that takes us forward. And so go back to that failure, look at it in the face and say, thank you. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for building me. Thank you for growing me. Thank you for stretching me. Thank you for making me better, because indeed it can only make you better. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for watching. I know that someone has learned something from this. Be encouraged, be comforted, be strengthened, most of all, be empowered in the mighty name of Jesus. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next video, God bless you. Bye.